What's up, everyone? We are back. Thursday night football, showdown breakdown. Bills heading down to Miami to take on the Dolphins. The heat is on for this one, guys. Mostert ruled out for the game. Achane probably going to play. That's all I got. So let's get into it. Thursday night football showdown breakdown. And I think we're all very excited to see that the matchups tool is now populated with snap counts because we had a week pass. And I think there's some interesting info here. Bobbywow, you did the sheet for this one?
Yeah, there's definitely some interesting decisions to be made in this game that will make or break the slate. So, yeah, it's going to be good to dive in here. Thank God the matchups are back, too.
Yeah, it's good to have the matchup tool because I'm going to go actually over to the Buffalo side because this is the one where I was like, what? Really a little surprised at some of the snap counts that I've seen on screen. First of all, the fact that sorry, the screen going blank messed me up for a second, but an update. But Khalil Shakir, I thought was going to kind of be 100% snap count guy, only on the field for 53% of the snaps in week one. Keon Coleman, 72%. And then out of nowhere, Mac Hollins, a 60% snap count. That's a turd. That's a live turd, Bobbywow.
You would think so. I think everyone thought, number one, Shakir would be the number one wide receiver, but number two, that Curtis Samuel would fill that WR3 slot. But last week it was Hollins, and he scored a touchdown.
Samuel only at 20%, only 27% of the snaps last week. What's going on? And then, so that's kind of weird. And even Martez Valdez-Scantling, he who must not be thrown to in the Harry Potter universe, he who cannot catch passes. No, I'm trying out new material today.
He's not every slate.
I hate Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Yeah. So even he got a little 20% of the snaps there. So really interesting sort of mix of wide receivers in week one for the Bills. Probably going to see more of the same. Keon Coleman. Again, no one really caught a pass last week. It was like a game where it was just all rushing. So what was your takeaway when looking over the Bills usage last week, Bobbywow?
I think, number one, don't panic yet about Dalton Kincaid. He was on the field 85% of the snaps. He only caught one pass, I think. But he's on the field. The volume will come. So I think that's number one. I'm excited to get overweight on him this week. I think he's going to be under-owned because of the dud last week. And number two, Keon Coleman is a stud. I think we knew this coming in. After they drafted him, the Bills were super excited when they were able to draft him in the second round. I really do think he's got the lead shot to take the WR1 role on this team, and we saw it last week. Josh Allen, there was a connection there, and he also caught a clutch pass toward the end of the game. Coleman did. So I think that's a very real trend, and it could continue moving that way throughout the season. So Coleman's a guy to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets another 21% target opportunity share in week one, I think that was really good. I kind of thought Keon Coleman would be probably the least used guy between him and Shakir and Samuel. And, maybe it doesn't continue, but that's kind of interesting. Let's shift gears to the Miami side. Bobbywow, what did you see on Miami in terms of the usage? Seemed pretty similar to the past, but there are some names that popped up with some snaps that I wasn't necessarily expecting to.
I think mostly it's a lot of the same, right? The Miami usage is funneled through three main guys: Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Devin Achane, with Mostert being out. So I think that part of it remained the same. Tyreek Hill had a big day. Jalen Waddle, kind of in that modest role where he'll catch 5 or 6 passes. He'll be in the 100-yard receiving range, but didn't find the end zone. And then Achane ran a touchdown in and caught 7 passes. He was just behind Tyreek Hill in terms of targets. So everything's flowing through those three guys still. I was kind of surprised that Jonnu Smith didn't get more looks in the passing game. They brought him in specifically to be the pass-catching tight end. But Durham Smythe actually had 3 targets to Smith's 1, I believe. that was kind of surprising. And Braxton Berrios really was the WR3 for this team. They've got some injuries going on with OBJ. Malik Washington's questionable, hasn't practiced yet. So, we've seen Berrios do some things in previous years. He's a guy, a turd worth paying attention to, at least.
You know who I pay attention to in terms of Braxton Berrios? His girlfriend. That dude just pulls super hot.
I mean, here's the thing with the tight ends, though. Like the Dolphins, at least in the Mike McDaniel era, they've not thrown to tight end. Like they've really never had a quality tight end. And not that Jonnu Smith is some like stud either, but like
right.
They've just never, it seems like at least with Tua there, they've really never relied on the tight end. I mean, I guess when you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, you don't need to, but
it's a very the offense itself is very much a focused offense, and I like that. I think that's good for showdowns. I think our big first mystery of this slate, based on everything I'm seeing here, is what's going on with the running back situation for the Dolphins. Very specifically, RB2 last week, Jeff Wilson Jr., Jay Wizzles was in there, and they did not even suit up Jalen Wright. Does that mean that Jalen Wright will just be behind Jeff Wilson Jr. this week? No, it does not mean that. It just means what happened last week. I don't know if it carries over. Does Wilson Jr. have like a special teams role, a reason why they might keep him active and not have the other guy? Maybe he knows the blocking assignments better than the rookie. That's always a big part of rookie running backs getting on the field. I don't really know, Bobbywow. Do you?
I don't think anyone knows. We talked about this a little bit before the show. Really, it's going to all depend upon whether or not Achane is active. I think if Achane's active, Jeff Wilson will be the backup. I'm pretty confident about that. And he's a guy that's an intriguing value play. If Achane is out, though, that's when I think we could see both these guys, Jeff Wilson and mixing in together. So I think that's what it hinges on. It looks like Achane's going to play for now. So that's kind of the assumption I'm operating under, at least for now.
You know what my thing is, though, my concern? So let's just paint a scenario. Achane is active, right? But Achane is also super injury prone, has been injured like more than 50% of the games that he's played, or a Q tag or something. Like his injury propensity is massive. So Achane is in, but gets hurt at some point, as he can. Then we have one of these backup guys literally destroying the slate as, the Miami lead back. Is it Wilson Jr.? Is it Wright? And I'm thinking about how to account for that in the lineup creation, because to me, I'm kind of thinking, what if you made some sort of a rule like, if Achane is not in the lineup, then you must have one of the other guys. And maybe that's the rule that allows you to have some of those guys with him and some without him, without like, there's a running back from that team that's going to be in the nuts. I'll guarantee it.
At those prices, it's hard to disagree.
Yeah.
I think if Achane's out, I think that's accurate.
Yeah, just a quick thought on that. Let's jump over to, I think we'll go right to the cheat sheets here and just start talking about potential captain plays. And we're going to break this down. It is, as we're doing this live, by the way, what's up, everybody in the live chat? It's good to see all you guys here. I love it. As we break this down live, we're going to assume that Achane is starting.
Yes.
I think that's fair.
This.
I mean, he practiced today. All indications are that he's playing.
That's right. He practiced in full. And we'll say, we did a showdown breakdown on Monday. And, 10 minutes after the thing, or we get the news that McCaffrey's out, Jordan Mason is in. And it was a very easy, hey, everybody, play Jordan Mason in every lineup notification that we put out in the Discord. And it's a reminder that if you're here, you're family, but if you're in the Discord, you're truly the family, and you're getting all the information that we have and the latest info and the back and forth with the crew. Our Discord, I believe, is the most active of any DFS site in existence. And it's, our staff is super available, but our members are as sharp as any place else. And the chat is really, really worth its weight in gold. So if you're a DFS Army subscriber and you're not in our Discord, I highly recommend figuring out, it's a lot of boomers and Gen Xers are like, I don't know, chat. And, I'm that way too. But figure out that little piece of technology. It's called Discord, and you want to be in our Discord. Oh, I don't know. I'm old and I don't like chat groups.
And you gotta turn on your notifications too, because it was I did not. And on Monday I was like, I went and made dinner. I was outside with my kids, and I'm like, oh, I better check for inactives. I wasn't expecting anything, and then all of a sudden I went, ooh, baby.
There we go. You got Tan Guy in the Discord giving out fire picks.
I saw the announcement in the Discord before I saw it on Twitter. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, we're all over it. And that being said, so let's talk about potential captain plays for this game, Bobby Wow. You've broken it down for us very beautifully. Right at the Tyreek, Achane.
Tyreek, man. I mean, how can you not? He's captain viable on every slate he plays, especially on DraftKings. But he's still volatile. As good as he is, he still has off weeks. He's a little bit injury prone as well. So I think Tyreek Hill is a great option in tournaments. To me, the number one option on this slate is Josh Allen across the board. And I wrote in the notes, 3 things we know about Josh Allen. Number one, he's still a beast. He came out last week, staged the comeback against Arizona, ended up with 4 total touchdowns. He looked good. Number 2, he's a rushing quarterback. He's got rushing upside, and he has it every single week. So he's always worth playing, in all formats, including captain on DraftKings. But number 3, he loves playing the Miami Dolphins. Josh Allen is 10-2 against the Dolphins. Passer rating is 110. He's got crazy touchdown to interception ratio. I think 38 total touchdowns. He just loves playing Miami.
300 plus like every game.
Yep. And he has 12 games in a row where he's thrown 2+ touchdown passes against the Dolphins. I think that's the highest streak of all time against an opponent. So Josh Allen against the Dolphins is something that is juicy. And I think we need to account for that.
That's fair. Love Josh Allen. And yes, he has dominated. He's not a 300-yard passer most of the time, but when the Dolphins come to town, it's been that. The Dolphins do have very good cornerback play. And I will say that Josh Allen didn't necessarily look super comfortable with this new group of pass catchers in week 1, but that stuff, that stuff is just what it is.
He gets it done. Yeah, that's the point, though. Josh Allen gets it done.
I think this trio is a very good sort of core trio of Reek, Allen, and Achane. Obviously, Tyreek can easily outscore Josh Allen just because he's a wide receiver, and that's what wide receivers do. And if Reek does Reek things, he can easily get 36 plus fantasy points, which it's almost impossible for most quarterbacks to surpass. So depends on kind of how the game goes.
He could get arrested too. So
no, leave it alone. I watched the tape. It's horrible. I don't want to get into it. It's actually I got angry when I saw the film of that arrest. It's horrible.
Not great.
And those police officers need to be retrained in how they deal with the public. It's just disturbing. But Tua, no need to put him here, Bobby Wow. You don't have to do it.
Here's the only reason. I think Tua, to me, is not playable at captain if Achane is in. I think there's, Achane ran one in last week. Same thing could happen again. If he's out, though, don't you feel like the passing game becomes even more prevalent than it has been? I mean, Tua, he led the league in passing yardage last season. Now, Raheem Mostert, made sure that didn't turn into touchdowns for Tua. But if Mostert and Achane are out, that kind of opens things up for the wide receivers to catch more touchdown passes. So that's why he's up there for me. If Achane's out, I've got a little bit of interest maybe, but I don't like Tua a lot in terms of fantasy production. He rarely hits the ceiling.
I'm just gonna get everybody off of it again, and I'm gonna save you the 10% lineups that you were gonna throw away. Like we throw away every fucking week. Everybody threw away 10% of their fucking lineups on Aaron Rodgers on Monday. Everyone's like, I don't care, I'm playing him. Kevin told me not to. Why throw away the 10%? Stop doing this. Stop. No Tua. No.
There's now it's guaranteed Tua is
probably. Hold on. Let me do the full guarantee of Tua here. Let's get all the way. Right? Yep. All the way. All the way.
If Achane is in, I'm in full agreement. I fade Tua fully from captain. But if he's out, he
my
might be worth a
goodness,
couple
man.
shots.
I get on board with it.
I heard what your description was, and all I was thinking was that just means Tyreek is getting more fantasy points, and he's going from a 35 to a 45. Okay, or Waddle gets the 35er. Like basically, Reek and Waddle would both need to get 35, and then Tua gets 36, and it's like, yep, he got him. Or maybe it would work with Tua if like he threw it to Smythe once in a while, or one of these other guys, but he just doesn't. He throws it to his main guys. All right, let's continue on through the potential captains because I think it's a step down. Everybody that we're going to mention from here. So, Bobbywow, take me through the rest of the possible captain. And interestingly, I think all of the showdowns thus far, have we had a chalk captain get us there so far? I feel like it's been back like the cheap guys or unusual captains up until this point, unless I'm missing something of the 3 showdown or 4 that we've done so far.
Yeah, I think we have a very limited sample size. But yeah, I think it's certainly possible that trend continues here.
We had Lazard.
We had Lazard. McCaffrey was out. Yes,
I think it was Worthy in one of the games. Was Worthy the guy?
Worthy in the Chiefs game.
Yep. The Rams game
must have been Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
That's chalk.
That was chalk. Yep.
Was there a Rams showdown? Was that even a thing? Oh yeah.
Packers was Jaden Reed.
Oh, Jaden Reed. Yeah, that one. That little chalk, but not,
Isaiah Likely.
A cheaper guy. Yeah, and Likely. Yeah, that's right. Out of nowhere. So yeah, we've had a lot of these.
Curtis Samuel here. Let's go.
Yeah. So it's been weird ones. So let's get to the weirdo zone, I guess, Bobbywow.
Yeah, I think right off the bat, Jalen Waddle and James Cook are captain viable. The problem with those guys is they don't score touchdowns. James Cook scored 2 rushing touchdowns last season. He caught 4, but Josh Allen vultures from James Cook's and really, really limits his upside. I think the same is true with Waddle. Like Waddle caught 4 touchdown passes last season. Tyreek Hill and the running backs destroy Waddle's upside. He breached his ceiling in maybe 1 or 2 games last season. So not as high on those 2 guys. Sure. I think the guy to target here is Dalton Kincaid. His price, the combination of his price, being notably below those guys that I just mentioned, and his dud last week, suppressing some of his ownership. I think this is a great spot to try and get overweight on a guy like Kincaid if you're trying to take down a tournament. So he's one of my favorite plays in this zone here. Can
I just say that I love the fact that you're referencing dynasty leagues and your dynasty drafts now, and I feel like my influence.
Are you a proud dad?
Yes, I do have that. I do feel like a bit of a proud papa for seeing that in there. So yes, join us on the dark side. All right. So anyway, I like that call. Yeah, I mean, low owned. We don't know the ownerships. It's we don't have ownerships out yet. But I think DS, all of these Bills pass catchers.
No, I just redid the DS.
You want to get people talking about leverage. You know who's not going to be, play Keon Coleman, and he Lazards it up for 2 touchdowns tomorrow. That is going to be like a 1% owned smash. No,
I don't know. I think the world is excited about Keon Coleman.
Yeah, I think
he's the hype on the Bills right now. Keon Coleman, he's all the rage, which seems like maybe a guy like Shakir or Kincaid will be the one who scores 2 touchdowns this week.
Yeah, it could be.
The point is though, all 3 of those guys are viable. They're in play at captain, and we really don't know who's going to go off.
I know he didn't play it. I know he didn't play a lot last week, but I mean, they signed Curtis Samuel to a boatload of money. He's going to get in there more.
I don't trust him as a captain, Josh.
I mean, but do you trust Isaiah Likely or Jaden Reed or you know what I mean?
Not really.
That's the thing is, I think that somebody like that, or even what if Dawson Knox falls in the end zone twice?
Can I just reference and by the way, we're not talking about Mac Hollins. Tattoo Freak just brought it up. Mac Hollins on the field for 60. It could be Mac Hollins.
Yeah.
That is that guy that you're like, what is happening? Up is down, left is right. I don't even know where I am anymore.
He doesn't wear shoes.
He's going crazy in the game.
Yeah. I don't know. Mac Hollins is a stretch for me.
Mac Hollins is a really cool person.
Yeah, he doesn't wear shoes.
That's great. I mean,
he's
something to you, Geek, because you talked to us last week about how you don't care
I don't care, but he's it means nothing to me. He could be the worst guy, and I don't care. But he happens to be like a really interesting guy. Like he's just a unique. He's one of those people where he's unique and different from everybody else, and you cannot ignore him in a room.
Is this a revenge game too?
For who? I mean, Matt Collins has been on every team in the NFL.
Wasn't Matt Collins in Miami?
He was on the Dolphins. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he's been on all the teams.
That's a stretch, man. He's cheap. He's an interesting flex option.
He spent like 3 years there.
Cool. Wait, I just want to also point out, of the last couple showdowns, like Likely was the turd of the slate on that showdown.
Yep.
And yesterday on the Monday showdown, it was Lazard who we were screaming about as the top pay down option.
Yep.
And we need to find the top pay down turd again and just play him at captain because these are winning millions.
Let's do it.
Who's that guy? Is it Jeff Wilson?
There's too much value here. There's too much value above Matt Collins with people getting way more usage than him. Let's be real. The guy had 2 targets. Okay. 2 targets last week. One was a touchdown. I think a similar score is within reason, but I don't think his ceiling exceeds, much beyond that. So let's just temper our Matt Collins expectations here a little bit.
Fine.
Yeah, that's fair.
But, that said, I think, guys like Keon Coleman, Shakir, they're already cheap. They're already below 6K as it is. So that's already some value, shots at captain right there. And, they're not going to be overly owned. Looks like our DS has Kincaid at 4%, Shakir at 3%, Coleman at 8% captain ownership right now.
That's
so.
high.
Oh, we have ownerships
In the DS, we do.
Oh, nice. Let me pull that up here. Let's look at how
no
nice.
fan. Oh, they do have FanDuel. They must have just loaded.
Yeah, them. They're probably being loaded right now. So all right, so now we could get a look at some of these captain ownerships, and actually, I like looking at it this way even better. So I'm going to sort by projected ownership, and it looks like Hill, Allen, then Waddle, then HN. That could flip.
People are going to be scared to play HN because of this Q tag and this game time decision thing. If just get out of the way again, if HN is active and we don't hear anything specific, I am operating under the assumption that he is going to play his full complement of snaps. Again, that is another spot. If he's active, we don't hear anything specific. I want to be overweight on HN because he's going to be under-owned with the injury. Could backfire on us, sure. But in tournaments, I want to be overweight on both HN and Kincaid across the board.
I'm giving you a heads up. I'm going to be crazy overweight on Tyreek Hill. And I know he's the chalkiest one of them all. And you're like, why are you such a donkey, Kev? Like, what are you doing here? And my thought is, as long as there's enough value, give me some Jeff Wilson Jr., like those or Buffalo random wide receivers that can put up some points and open it up for me to play these guys. Tyreek is just so damn good.
There's a lot of value too on the slate potentially.
Yeah, he's just so good that you probably can afford to just captain him. I haven't tried making lineups. It is Wednesday, and I actually haven't made lineups for this yet. But I want to feel what the salaries feel like. But if I can afford just putting Reek in there, I want to do it a lot.
Right.
Yep. Fair enough.
All right. So let's jump down to sort of some of the flex plays and some of these affordability factor guys here. Who have you identified? I mean, we mentioned some of these names. You've got Wilson Jr. We haven't talked about the other running back too much, Jalen Wright, but is he much cheaper than Wilson Jr.? 2K, not bad. If he starts and if we get word no, it's going to be Jalen, will they tell us?
Ugh.
I can't imagine they will. But again, I'm really leaning toward Wilson being the primary guy. He's gonna be HN's backup if HN plays. It really feels like, although they could get a legitimate split.
I mean, Wright was electric.
Wilson.
Wright was electric in preseason.
He's a stud. He's explosive.
Mr. 5 Cent paying attention to the matchups and is aware that Miami has 2 very good outside corners. Who is playing in the slot primarily for Buffalo? I would have thought that would have been the role of Curtis Samuel, but he's not even really playing much. Is Keon Coleman in the slot? Who's in the slot?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that could change if Samuel really is going to get more reps, this week. So
you would have thought it would be Samuel
in that basket.
We also don't
Right.
know why he didn't get the reps last week.
I mean, he had a toe injury. He just got removed off the report like 4 days before the game.
Okay. That could change. Yeah, it's hard to and it's Mac Hollins kind of replacing Samuel in the slot. So
Right.
there we go. Any other turds though that popped? Like Dawson Knox got some targets last week. Bobby
Yeah,
Wow.
he had 3 targets.
Dawson Knox, he's all reliable. I'm probably not going there because I love Kincaid and Knox really isn't. He's not that cheap. I wish if he was closer to like 1K, I would be more excited. But
Right.
he's viable, I guess, as a dart throw. I think Braxton Berrios is intriguing at his price. Again, it's kind of dependent upon whether or not Malik Washington plays. I think Washington will take more on that WR3 role on if he's active, but he hasn't practiced yet either. So Berrios at, what is he priced? 1,200.
Well, it's just very cheap. And
He's
again,
intriguing as a turtly dart throw.
the girlfriend.
Does that make him viable?
Yes. I think when you walk around and that's your girl, like you show up at the locker room, the coach gives you a little more respect. Like you get a little more juice. Bobby's so uncomfortable with my line of thinking. I just see the thoughts going through your head. You're like, I wish he didn't speak of these things. But like you haven't seen.
What about Alec Ingold? Can we play Alec Ingold?
No, what?
Just like the slate with the Jets and Eagles. I think this is a slate where you don't have to get too turdly.
Oh, but
There's
Kyle
some value here.
Juszczyk almost made it like turd fest. It was so close.
Almost, but still, like
That was
with
so
Mason
dangerous.
and Lazard, it would take a lot more, I think, for him to make the nuts.
You think it's Wilson Jr. that's just opening it up to the point where you don't need anyone else? Is that the guy?
I think so, because he's still someone I'm probably looking at pretty heavily if HN plays. So yeah, I think he's the guy. I'm probably not going any lower than Braxton Berrios in terms of like salary.
You know who else is going lower on Braxton Berrios? His girlfriend, the hot chick from Instagram. Sorry, I'll stop. So yeah, you're right. What I can tell you is that the Dolphins are not going to just load up HN with like 30 touches in a game or even 25.
Right.
Yeah, Irish.
He won't exceed. Yeah, he won't exceed what he typically does, which is 50-60% of the snaps. But that's often enough for him to get it done.
Yeah, but that means that somebody else is getting the other half. And we really need to know if it's going to be Wilson Jr. or I mean, like everything changed in the preseason. We're all drafting Jalen Wright as this like high level backup, for most hurt and HN, who both just get hurt all the time. So it's like, man, I was so excited. I got Jalen Wright on all my benches, and it's like, no, you can't play him. And old man Jeff Wilson Jr. is the one. So I don't know. I think it's gonna be interesting. But yeah, if the backup, if we catch the right backup running back, that's gonna be the salary opener.
Yep.
That lets you do everything. What about kickers and defenses here? Do we even care about like Miami defense? Is that even something we want to mess with?
Yes, I do think we do care. And here's why. Because Josh Allen and Tua love to turn the football over.
That's fair.
Miami's 3K. They're pretty dang cheap as far as defense is concerned. Josh Allen was second in the league in turnovers, only behind Sam Howell last season. So if they can convert one of those turnovers or a turnover into a touchdown, I think they probably sneak into the nuts. Again, we've got Jeff Wilson there as well in that price range, but if HN is active, I really think Miami defense in particular is in play. Tua also finished 5th in turnovers. So these quarterbacks don't take care of the football.
That's fair. Let's slap a quick DraftKings lineup together using the information. Bobby, take me through a lineup if I played Reek at captain.
Yeah, you got Reek at captain. I would say, I'm putting Kincaid in there.
7,200.
I'm putting Josh Allen in there.
Josh Allen, we want to get as much as we can.
I'm putting Jeff Wilson in there.
$6K per spot. So we got to go sub 6 and over 6. Keon Coleman there? Kicker?
Coleman.
Is it too much?
Samuel. You got some options down here.
Let's see. You put Coleman in there.
Coleman in there.
Yeah, he seems to be the best of these. and then 60. Oh, and K-Shaq. Well, okay.
That's a lot of receivers for Buffalo.
It's not that many though, really. It's just Coleman and K-Shaq with Allen. Oh, and Kincaid. Yeah, it probably is one too many. Yeah, it doesn't really work.
I think the question for me is, do you need to play Tua
I don't think so.
in the flex if Hill's your captain?
I'm gonna say no.
I'm gonna say no too.
Actually, I'll show you no. Last week he got a yeoman like 29. Solid, right? Not lock button winning us the tournament today, but very close to it. Tua,
he was the nuts.
Tua only 21 for similar salary, or for like Tua actually scored really well at 21 last week, but that was with both of Waddle also outscored Tua, or almost did. So Waddle got 19.2 and Reek got 29 and Tua got 21. So you're threading a needle here. If Tua's there, the reality is I'll just pay down a few hundred, 1,000 and play Waddle, because if Tua is doing it, it's not, he needs to have two pass catchers involved. You cannot, there's not enough work with just one guy. So because if it's all Hill's going to get it. That's it's just the way it always falls. These kind of quarterbacks need two separate guys to pull them over the finish line.
Yep.
And I just think that'll mean that Waddle will be in the nuts. I will not force that, is what I'm saying.
Cool.
I don't
agree. I agree.
Yeah. If you put in Waddle and Hill, Allen, Wilson, Kincaid, I think the better version of this lineup is actually Allen with one of these guys, and then you could finish it off with a kicker or a defense with Kincaid in there. And I think we might need to change our mind about Kincaid and make a decision that we might have been wrong about how involved or that his role would be different this year than it was last year. I like Kincaid as a player. I have not seen where his role, or at least week one, his role did not change from what it was last year.
Yeah, I mean, the Bills only threw the ball 20 times. So, there's that. It's a week one offense.
Hard to know. But
again, it's a leverage spot is what it is. Kincaid is not like a lock button play by any means, but to me, it's the spot where I really want to get leverage this week. So that's where I'm leaning.
Yeah. I'm on board with much more than like, I don't really think like a Kincaid for me stands out as like a straight up good play.
I still think he does. But again, you're right though. You're right. Like, what has he done to prove that? I don't have that yet. I don't think he has.
For him to be a good play for me, I want to see more than 6 targets. Like, I really want him to be 8 to 10 targets to start feeling like, okay, that was worth $7K.
Sure.
And the 6 that he tends to get, like I bet I'd like to look at the prop for receptions, but my guess it's like 4.5. Josh, can you look that up?
Yep.
The reception prop.
He averaged 7. I'm looking up last year's stats, but he averaged 7.5 targets a game last year.
Targets? Okay, that's actually better than I recall.
All I'm saying is I want to be first on the Kincaid train. I don't hate that. I don't want to wait for him to get 8 targets and 7 catches into touchdown. I think this week I'm willing to take a risk. So
somebody asked about a cash lineup. We don't normally we don't necessarily like to give a lineup that would be reused by other people. We're not supposed to give out cash lineups. So I'm just going to say, you're playing Wilson and HN and Reek in your cash lineup.
It's Josh Allen, captain. Reek.
Yeah. Allen is probably the safest cash captain. If 100%. I was captaining it, it would probably be Allen.
4.5 and 44.
4.5 targets.
44
and 44 yards. Yeah, that's what I figured. So his prop is
now. I mean, I get that, but the one thing I will say is that also, I mean, they bake the what's it called, the Allen's numbers into that as well, and Allen's prop is 245 right now, and I think everyone and their mother should smash the over on that.
There you go. All right, let's talk FanDuel, the Golden Duel, as we like to call it, and Bobbywow. Obviously, FanDuel plays a little different than DraftKings. we tend to like our our quarterbacks and our running backs more on FanDuel even than on DraftKings. So real quick, just what do you have going on at the MVP spot on FanDuel? Is it just Allen, HN, or bust?
You could make the argument that you could lock Allen in at captain, or at MVP on FanDuel, I think.
I love it.
So he's the by far the best play, I think, on FanDuel in terms of MVP.
Yep.
You can get some with Reek in there. I think Tua, is a little bit more viable on FanDuel than he's on DraftKings just because he's a quarterback. So he's there. For me, I'm at the field, probably under on Tua. So yeah, Allen number 1 and HN number 2.
We have
FanDuel for me.
We have Tyreek Hill as the number 1 MVP ownership.
Yep,
like at 25. So
I think he will be.
I do too, and I am way under on that.
I'm not buying these numbers. I'm not buying this. These aren't these. Is this real? He's going to be higher owned than Josh Allen.
That's what our optimizer says. I wouldn't be shocked.
It'll be close. Either way, it's going to be close, I think.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. I see it. Listen, I love Tyreek, but
it's so hard for a wide receiver.
He can get there, but it's just not. It's going to be less likely than Josh Allen getting there, but it doesn't mean he can't get there. I like them both. There's nothing wrong with either. But yeah, I'm a little surprised to see that. Tua, 18% is fine, and then Bobby, I'm surprised you're not like jumping up and down about maybe James Cook at very low ownership.
Look, I put him up there as a 3-star play. I think there's no doubt in my mind. Tier 1 is Josh Allen, and then I think tier 2 you've got Tua and HN. And then if you want to start getting a little bit sillier in tournaments and take some risks and get some leverage, I think James Cook is one of those guys, maybe the guy to get leverage on. He just doesn't score. That's the problem.
He's not that good.
No, he doesn't. He's not. No, he doesn't have. He just doesn't score. Bobby, you're right. Like, it's not that he's not good. It's just when Josh Allen is the quarterback and you're at the 4,
he's taking the ball in.
Yeah, Josh Allen takes those in. So it's like James Cook has actually been just fine as I was skeptical of his talent coming out of college. So that's why I'm like going a little further with this. But like, he's been fine. He seems to have the talent. They seem to have scouted him well. It's just, yeah, anytime Josh Allen's on the team and he decides he wants the tutty for himself, he's going to have it. And no one's stopping him.
Yeah,
so
like
that's not great for running backs. Like, I don't
James
care.
Cook, 237 carries last year and 2 touchdowns.
Yep. So if it's me, if I'm trying to take down a tournament, if I'm making 150 lineups, 15 of them will have James Cook at MVP and no Josh Allen in the lineup. That's the way I'm playing it.
I like it.
That's the most likely scenario that he gets there, right? Like, it'd be hard for him to get there. He gets there,
and Allen isn't running for touchdowns, so he has a mediocre day. I love that thought, Bobbywow, and it is great leverage off of all the idiots who play, or not idiots, but the people who play James Cook, but also have Josh Allen in the lineup. And it's like, hey, I was right about Cook. He got 3 touchdowns, but the 10 that Allen put up when Cook got the 3 touchdowns burned my lineup, and I didn't win anyway. So if you're going to do it, go all in on it, I think is the lesson from what you just said, Bobbywow. Let's scroll down and just what are we doing on FanDuel as far as like salary saving options? You're definitely going to like Kincaid at 9,500 there if you liked him on FanDuel. I see K-Shack and Keon Coleman, both touchdown scorers, perfectly acceptable.
Kincaid's too cheap. He's too cheap on FanDuel.
Jeff Wilson's 6,500.
Jeff Wilson's cheap.
Yeah, this is your affordability factor right here.
Yeah.
Watch it be Jalen Wright.
Oh, I think because of the buzz that Jalen Wright has gotten, I think if we get for some reason that Achane is ruled out, Jalen Wright will out-own Jeff Wilson.
100% agree.
People will be all over him.
So I think if he's out, again, we talk about this all the time. I'm making lineups, with one of them and not the other necessarily. I think you could have lineups with both, but to me, yeah, I think you kind of separate your lineups groupings that way.
Sure.
That's the way I would think about it.
I love it. Guys, who are watching, if you're enjoying the content, don't forget to smash the like button. Be subscribed to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Not many of you guys hitting that bell. You got to ring the bell. That way you know when this thing's going live, you're in here. I know the ones that are watching it live actually with us probably do have the bell. And they get to hang and ask questions and see answers and all that good stuff for all of our stuff. We're going to be back on Friday with tournament tactics. Burns, Wow, Josiah, the whole crew. Bobbywow, final thoughts?
Pay attention to Discord, because we're going to be monitoring that Achane situation extremely closely. It really, a lot really does hinge on that. Again, I think we've talked through this whole podcast as if he's going to be active. I think he's going to be active. And, therefore, I think he's going to be a strong play. He'll be under-owned. So don't be afraid of Achane if he's active. Really interesting leverage spot on Kincaid. I'm going overweight across the board on him. I think at FanDuel in particular, he's way too cheap. And, don't necessarily buy into the Jalen Wright hype if he is over-owned. I think Jeff Wilson is probably the guy that'll at minimum see an even split with Wright if Achane's out. So, don't underestimate Jeff Wilson's role here.
So basically we like Wilson no matter what happens.
I think so.
Yeah. Yep.
I like it. I've had success with Wilson as a fantasy play, years ago, even back when he was on the 49ers. Like he's been a little engine that could on my bench on many a fantasy team. So let's keep it going. As surprising as it is. Josh, any final thoughts?
Josh Allen with Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox wins the million.
Oh my God. Hold on.
After he called the 2 tight end thing last week, I don't know. He called likely, so
he did call likely, but that one is a stretch. But crazy everything. Imagine it does happen. It could happen.
Oh yeah, Dawson Knox can fall in the end zone.
He'll be on the field. Yep.
Yeah, he will be on the field. All right, good stuff, guys. We'll be back on Friday. Good luck on the Showdown Breakdown. DFS Army VIPs, stick around for a second because the Shark Lab show with Burns will be a live stream this and every week going forward. So we can ask questions. We're going to do it live. Shark Lab going to break down his stuff. I will let you know in the Discord when we're doing that. Got to talk to Burns, and I'm trying to pick out the perfect time that doesn't necessarily overlap with a game. Games are going nonstop. So we're going to get that figured out. But Shark Lab live at some point this week. Stick around. Listen for it in the Discord as well. And for our DFS Army YouTube channel family, we'll see you on Friday for the Showdown Breakdown. Take care, everybody.
See you guys.